dream that came to reality. And he's become a public speaker and he's a trainer. And his dream, he wanted to conduct training in 50 different countries. And also he's planning to start a transformation series program probably from 2017. Every month he wants to conduct a lot of seminars and conferences. And I'm going to invite Alex to go his speech. And before that, I would request Satish to lead his objectives.
Good afternoon. Toastmasters guest and Toastmaster Alex in particular. Toastmasters Alex is delivering Advanced Communicator Gold, project number 3, from the manual The Professional Speaker. Assignment number 3, which is the sales training speech. The speech objectives are: tell a sales audience how to sell a product by using a planned presentation. Inform a sales training audience about the human experience of the buyer-seller relationship. Use entertaining stories and dynamic examples of sales situation. Inspire salespeople to want to succeed in selling. Timer, please note the time is 15 to 20 minutes and longer if ClubExcom allows. All the best, Toastmaster Alex. Over to you.
Selling mystery. Alex, selling mystery.
Good evening. Good evening. So I want to give a little brief about what's the session going to be. This is not to be a speech as such, but this is going to be a session where you teach a group of people how to sell. Right, so I understand there are a lot of array of good speeches. You might be expecting a speech from me, but this is not a speech as such. It's going to be a kind of an education session or a training session. Right. The title of the session is the Sales Mastery of the Seat. So let me ask you this question. How many of you like sales job? Right. I think I gave a good facial expression. We can do any other job, but not a sales job. And if you have to be on a sales job, will you accept or not? An yes or no?
Yes.
No. How many say yes? And how many say no? And this is the same answer many people gave in many workshops, many seminars. This is the same thing. They don't like selling because probably the kind of image salespeople give to the others is something different from how the actual sales process. So today I'm going to give you a simple, easily followable model of sales which can be applied anywhere. Whether you are a student, whether you are a working professional, whether you are a lawyer, whether you are an engineer, whether you are a medical or a doctor, this can be applied anywhere. That's the model which I'm going to share. So this is the objective of the session. I just put it for the benefit of all of you. So the first one I just want to say, tell a sales audience how to sell a product by using a planned presentation. That's the whole objective, all right? So, right. So the first point I'd like to share, this has to be remain in within you probably not only today, but whenever you go for a selling. Do not sell the products or services. The obvious question you might be asking is that then what I need to sell. So but the first line I'd like to share is that do not sell a product or service. Alright, so here is it. Here is the number 3875 and 21132. So they say that the moment you put a good number on a presentation, the presenter looks knowledgeable and he knows a lot about it. That's why I put a number. Any idea what's this number going to be? Or what's this number? Alright, it doesn't matter. That's how the trainers engage the audience. Right. So now, what's the first car? First picture. Louder. And what's the next car? Right. Now, can you relate the first slide and this slide? The previous slide and this slide?
They make 3 on sample.
What is that?
They make 3 on sample and at the same time they can make double on.
Alright, okay. So I'll put it this way. Rolls-Royce, in the history of Rolls-Royce, 112 years history, in 2015, Rolls-Royce made the maximum sales in the year 2015. They were the maximum sales of 387. How many? What was the exact number? 875 Rolls-Royce sold worldwide. Not in India, worldwide. Right. Now, what is the other number? 21,132 number. That was the car Nano sold in India in 2015. Right. Now the whole objective of this picture is not to compare whether Rolls-Royce is a good product or Nano is a good product, that's not. But to understand what's the sales approach by a Rolls-Royce or by a Nano. Is it the same? Is it different? That's all I do. So now, this is the short code I like to give to you, a secret code for sales, so which I call it a SEAL, S-E-A-L, SEAL, alright? So, now, I also want you to think about, give me one product. So throughout my presentation, I will be using this example of a Rolls-Royce, a Nano, and a product which you might be giving to me. So can you give me one product?
Soap box.
What is that?
Soap box.
Why don't you upgrade your status a little more? Right.
An expensive soap.
Good. Now somebody will say a gold soap box. Right. Or somebody will say a deodorant. Okay. And a soap box. A gold soap box, is that okay? Alright. So I'll take the products from the audience as a gold soap box. Okay. Now, the first and foremost in SEAL is the S, which is the search for, which is called search for the. So it's very, very important for a salesperson first to understand your target audience. Now the most important question I like to ask is that, imagine you are a sales guy of Rolls-Royce. Where do you find your target audience?
Bombay.
Bombay, 5-star hotel. Where do you find? Business people, yeah, Shasta is very good. So we can find a BMW at least. Yeah. One is where do you find them, and second is that how do you find them? So this is, let's understand in a very specific way of a Rolls-Royce, where do you find them and how do you find them? It is very, very important. So one such category could be the financial status. The second good category is the status of people. If you want to sell a Rolls-Royce, we need to find these people in a particular category where is a finance and status matters. Now, imagine the next product, Nano. Where do you find the people?
Software employees.
Nano, you can find in software employees or anybody who has an annual income of say more than a 2 lakh or a 3 lakh probably is the right audience for a Nano. And finally, on the soap product, where do you think we can find the people? So everyone who takes bath, you can find them as a potential customer, right? So we'll get into that little later. Right. The first one is that the moment you find or search the right people at the right place, second thing we need to understand is the emotions of people. When I say emotions, is not the feeling I'm referring to. There are 4 major things you look into when you need to sell. One is the needs, second is the desires, third is the wants, and 4 are the fears. So these are the 4 things I like to share. Now, when a person buys a Rolls-Royce, do you think, which category do you think he is buying? Is a desire or a need? Or a want or a fear?
Fear.
Alright. Why do you say so that's a fear?
Neighbors.
Peer pressure.
Right. But I don't, I might have a difference in opinion. I might not buy, my neighbor buys a Rolls-Royce, I might not buy a Rolls-Royce.
What will your neighbor think about me?
Right. That fear will be there.
You won't buy.
Yeah, that probably will be correct for a Shasta and a Rajinikanth because and the Gerald, they live close by. There might be, that example might fit exactly there. Right. Otherwise, for a normal audience, that comparison might not work. But this desire is one area where you target when you sell a luxury product like a Rolls-Royce. Now, let's see, where do you think a Nano will fit in? Needs? And? It could be 3 of them. There are no fears there, should be. And middle class Indian saying that I don't want a Nano, I don't want a Nano. There's no fear there, right? It can't be fear. Which would be a fear.
Yeah.
Because
Other people might think like we are low standard people, so
right. So probably in the lowest, that could be. Otherwise, in the if you have to put a
Any bike will be in a fear. Exactly.
That's it. So if you have to put a what do you call a parameter or rating for their needs first, then comes the wants and then comes the desire. That's the place exactly. So we need to understand what are the needs of this particular sector. Whether they need a BMW, they need a Nano, they need a Swift Desire. What are the needs of that particular group? And then comes our soap. Where do you think it will fit in? The soap. Yeah. How do you think the soap is fitting the fear? Probably somebody not taking bath. What is that?
Otherwise I'll stink.
Unless you stink. So Of course, soap is a basic necessity of life. As Maslow's theory, the first level is a basic necessity of life, and that will definitely fit into that category of the need. So it is very important to understand what are the needs of the people, and you cater to the needs. So that's why it is said in the beginning, you don't sell a product, rather you sell or meet a requirement or a need. That's the second point. Now the third point. This I believe is the most important element of a good sales. Building rapport or being affable. Affable in a simple English means being pleasant and being nice, being part of showing a friendly relationship. So there are few things which we can do. One is smile, listen, dress well, remember things. Okay, this is something which I like to emphasize today. What are the things as a salesman you can remember about your clients, your customer? Birthdays.
First meeting.
First meeting?
Names.
Yeah. Names. Okay, here is something which, example, name we should remember for sure. Now, imagine if I am a salesperson and I am going to Kalyan and I understand certain characteristics of Kalyan, probably which is that area which I can actually connect to him.
Meticulous.
Meticulous, disciplined, and all. I'm sure one area where I can connect to Kalyan is when it comes to dressing well. So it is very easy for me to establish a rapport with Kalyan if I talk about which are the brands you like, Kalyan. Raymond's, P.N. Rao, Jasmine, so many brands he will tell, and he will tell the exact quality of stitching. And if it is Sunil Jose, he can say, which is the Arabian girl you might like. So the conversation can go for 1 hour or 2 hours. So, and if it is a student, we can always talk about his aspirations, which is the company he likes to work, and what are the things he likes to do. If I am from a bank employee, and I want to sell a loan, a student and meeting his expectation or needs will be the right thing to do. And building a relationship or building a rapport is one of the most important elements in a sales process. And they say that in a sales process, 60% is the rapport and the emotional connect you establish with people, and rest 40% is only the sales really happen. And speak their language. When I say speak their language, I am not referring here to the English language or the language, oral communications. Language also means here the body language also. There is one famous word in sales theory called the matching and the mirror. Matching and mirroring, which means here, when a customer speaks too fast, the sales representative also speak fast. When a customer is a slow speaker, which is he thinks and speaks, a sales representative thinks and speaks. So, in a way, what he is doing is that he is matching the rhythm, the speaking style of the customer. And in the whole process, customer feel connected to the sales guy, right? So this is the third point, being affable or building relationship. And the last point is, any guesses what's the last point? Okay, I didn't ask this question. So here is the first question to ask, like, if you have to be a Rolls-Royce sales representative, how do you build a relationship? And who will be your customers? Politicians? Business people, actors, film stars. Now, how do you build a relationship with them? How do you build a relationship with them? Exactly. That is exactly one point. You go where they go. That is exactly one major important point in sales. That is like be with the tribe. If they go out for a party, if they go out of a party in a 5-star hotel, make sure if you are a salesperson, you go out of a party in a 5-star hotel, because that's the place. That's the only place where you meet. And now coming to the nano, where do you think you will meet the people? Anywhere Toastmasters meeting? Yeah, any meeting on the beach side? So many places. At trade fair, you will meet people. Right, and when it comes to your softbox, where do you think you will meet people? You don't meet people in the bathroom for sure. Right. And the last but not the least, this is the most important part of the sales. That's why they said don't sell the product, but sell the benefits. People buy the benefits. People buy the benefits. People don't buy the product. People buy the benefits. When somebody is agreeing to buy a Rolls Royce, they are not really looking at a Rolls Royce as a product, but they will be looking at the ego gratification. Now, I have money. I have millions of dollars in my account. Now, I have everything. Now, what I don't have is my status. And Rolls Royce as a company believes that they don't sell to everybody. They sell to people who has money, who has financial status, and also has some kind of a status in which they can maintain the Rolls Royce for next 15 to 20 years. They give car only to those people. Now, I am owning a Rolls-Royce means it is understood my ego gratification is done. Whereas the next level of people, when it comes to a nano, what's happening there?
Maintenance free.
So,
Maintenance fee? Yeah.
Mr. Bambai,
Economic.
What is economical? Yes. For a middle class, it's a first and predominant thing they might be looking for. What is the benefit they are looking for?
Safety.
As a family, we can travel.
safety.
Safety, a comfort, a basic need of transportation. Soap, I don't want to comment about it. Right. And that's one thing. And the last thing I'd like to add here is the packaging. So packaging, one of the beautiful examples I have listened to was T.T. Rangatharan's speech. So he gave a beautiful example of packaging. Never sell your product just like a raw product. The value might be very less. So he gave this example. You walk on the street, you might see a person selling idli for 2 rupees. You pay 2 rupees or 5 rupees and take that idli. You walk another 100 meters, you might see a small shop selling the same idli with a little chutney and a small shop. The same idli might cost 10 rupees. You buy 10 rupees and buy that idli. You go a little ahead, you will see a Sarana hotel, and you buy a idli there. Might cost you 25 rupees. You like it because a brand name, a lot of association there. The same Sarana hotel, you go to the AC hall, the same idli, AC ambience, one person coming, giving, one person taking order, another person giving 50 rupees. You pay. And you go a little more ahead, you see an ITC, 250 rupees for an idli, a chutney, a nice ambience. Idli remains the same. Chutney remains the same. Of course, not from the same batter, but as a product, it remains the same. Packaged differently, 4 different types. Pricing different. The lady on the roadside find it difficult to pay a medical expense, whereas an owner of an ITC will have 4 Mercedes with him. So that's the difference a good packaging can make. So 4 different points we discussed today. What is the first one? Search for the, second? Emotion. Handle emotion or understand people. Affable, build relationship. And last one? List the benefit and package it. Yeah? This is good for a one-time sale. This model is very good for a one-time sale, whether you want to sell a book or a car or any other product. But to have a permanent sale, you need to have one thing called maintaining the relationship. This is the last point I'd like to share. Maintaining relationship is the most important part. You are a Maruti Suzuki owner, and the way they maintain relationship is one of the reasons why you always stick to that particular brand. So Bosch is one of my clients. One day I met this Bosch training head, and he said, "Why don't you come to my house?" And I went to his house, and his wife opened the door, and she gave a little weird look, and I didn't understand why she was giving this weird look. And after a few minutes, she gave a tea, and he took me to the terrace, and we were talking a lot of things. And he said, "Alex, do you know one thing? In the last 8 years I've been working in Bosch, this is the first ever time I took somebody from my professional world to my house. And that's the reason why my wife was shocked." So I felt a little good. But now what happened after that was, 1 week later, he called me up and said, "Alex, I want to launch you in Bosch. I want to launch your products in Bosch." One contract, another contract, multiple contract. Now it is like every time whenever he has a requirement, I don't call him. He calls me and tells, and I just tell him. So now, the whole thing I learned in this whole process was that maintaining a relationship is the best way to sustain a sale. One-time sale is easy, but maintaining a relationship is the best way to sustain the sale. Lastly, SEAL stands for? So use SEAL in your sales techniques, sales presentation, wherever you go for sales, and I'm sure you will have a good sale. Thank you.